home flipping. Home flipping ain't what it used to be. That is for sure. In fact, that's probably an understatement. It's an understatement. It is way down, way down, way down, way down. In fact, it is nearing a 7-year low. Now, you know, we've had Darren Bloomquist on the show several times, and he has spoken at our Meet the Masters of Income Property event. He's with Adam Data Solutions, and they are out with a report that says in the third quarter of 2019, home flipping was down to the second lowest point since 2011. Now, you might recall, since I've been doing this way too long, back in 2011, you might recall that financing was incredibly difficult to get for home flippers. And as part of the financial regulation, there was just a slew of new things, including, not the least of which, including Dodd-Frankenstein, which really impeded business in the U.S. In terms of real estate, and I think slowed the economic recovery substantially. But it is what it is. These regulators, hey, they don't understand the real world. They sit there in their ivory tower, insulated from all things real. They pass laws and make rules that the rest of us little people in the hoi polloi have to follow. So all of these regulations made it very difficult for companies and entrepreneurs and individuals. Just, Bubba with a pickup truck who wanted to flip a house, made it very difficult for him to do it because they had all sorts of rules, like that you had to wait a certain amount of time. If a property was purchased in foreclosure, what was that rule? You had to wait like 90 days before you could flip it, and then more time before you could flip it again, right? And this was to like just slow the whole machine down. And admittedly, like many of these laws, I'll give them credit, many of them do have good intentions, but intentions meeting reality, where the rubber hits the road, oftentimes do not work out. They do not work out. Check this out. According to the report, 56,566 single-family homes and condos were flipped in the third quarter of 2019. So here we got a country of about 320 million plus people now, and 56,000, well, if you round off correctly, 57,000 single-family homes and condos were flipped in the third quarter of 2019, but that was down, get this, you ready? It was down 12.9% from the previous quarter and down 6.8% from a year ago. These drops were the largest quarterly and annual drops since 2014. Now, there's a few different time periods to keep in mind here, right? Because initially we talked about how it was down from 2011, okay, the second lowest point. But another point here in 2014, they're also mentioning in their report. So this activity definitely declining. Return on investment was down as well. Look, that's how the supply chain works. It's how capitalism works. If the seller of the property who's selling it to you, the turnkey investor, can't make money, hey, they're not going to do the deal. And then you're not going to have anything to buy. So that's a problem as the supply chain gets constricted. As these margins get constricted, there are fewer people doing it, right? Because people do things for incentive. This is pretty significant. And look, I've been complaining to you for years, and you've been complaining to me, so I'm just complaining back, right? It's a circular complaint cycle, right? Where we're all complaining that inventory is down, there's not enough properties to buy, there's not enough out there. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? Well, here's what you're going to do. This is prime advice. Are you ready? You are going to reluctantly, but still realistically, you are going to accept reality. And that reality is that inventory is tight and properties are more expensive. It is simply the law of supply and demand. But in accepting that reality, you'll be okay in the long run. And here's why. Remember, as I've mentioned to you throughout the years, prices always precede rents. Rents always lag prices. So give it a couple years, get your properties, get this incredibly good financing, and you get to lock up the rate for 3 decades, but your renter only gets to lock it up for 1 year at a time. And your renter will see increases over the years, and if you can increase that rent by 3 or hopefully even 4% annually. Now, you know how that works. One of my concepts I teach, the 3 dimensions of real estate. When interest rates are very low and housing affordability is pretty reasonable, then you're not going to be able to raise rents as much. But when you get into the cycle where the rates are up and the prices are up, right? When you have both of those factors at the same time, you're going to find that you have this magic thing, a magic 2-word thing, pricing power. As a landlord, you innately have pricing power because you have a scarce commodity, real estate. You have a commodity everybody in the world needs, shelter, and you rent it to them. But when you get into a time where there are certain spots throughout that 3-decade-long beautiful mortgage you have where you really have pricing power and you can really command higher rents through the law of supply and demand, it is a great thing.